Coming up, the wind in Mykonos causes some problems for the Majestic Princess, but once I finally make it to shore, I enjoy a day experiencing this lovely island, including a beach club break, a visit to those iconic windmills, and also time to enjoy the pretty town of Mykonos. Good morning from Mykonos. It is currently 9:15 and it's 25 degrees. We approached the dock at about 6 this morning, and because I'm at the front of the ship I could certainly hear the thrusters kicking up in a big way. Couldn't quite figure what was going on from my side of the ship, but we were still making manoeuvres by about 7. Eventually at about 7:10 the captain came over the announcement system and advised that there had been difficulty getting in. Basically the wind was over 30 knots. Mykonos is known for being very windy, and there was difficulty, but at that point we had actually approached the dock and the lines were being secured. So happy days, we are not going to miss our port. The resilient lady is anchored opposite us, so they've got the trauma of the, well, it's not a trauma, but they've got the inconvenience of the tendering operation. Breakfast has arrived, and after that it'll be time to head off and explore. If you're thinking about a cruise around the Greek islands in summertime, windy weather conditions are probably not the first thing that comes to mind. Unfortunately, the island of Mykonos is one of the worst impacted of the Greek islands by strong winds, particularly during the summer. Because of this, you do need to be aware that there's a pretty high instance of scheduled cruise ships not actually being able to dock. Now, for a while this morning, that certainly seemed to be the case for the Majestic Princess. The captain and crew clearly battled to bring the ship alongside the dock for well over an hour. And as my stateroom is very much on the forward part of the ship, it was the first test of whether or not I had made a good decision in choosing this, or whether or not the motion of the ocean, or, well, at least the Aegean Sea in this case, was going to be a problem. The movement and the sound of the engines was quite evident, but not to the extent that would make me rethink my choice of stateroom, at least not at the moment. Given the wind and sea conditions, I was quite glad to find that the Majestic Princess was actually docked as opposed to the Virgin Voyages ship, which had dropped anchor and was tendering its passengers to shore. There is limited docking space in Mykonos, so if you're scheduled to visit, you may be one of those that experiences the tender situation. In case you haven't seen my first vlog in this series, quick recap. I'm a solo traveller on board Princess Cruises' Majestic Princess. I'm on a 10-day Greek islands and Mediterranean itinerary, and Mykonos is the first of our 7 scheduled ports of call. As this isn't my first visit to Mykonos, I was quite happy to have a leisurely breakfast and disembark at a relaxed pace to set off on my DIY shore excursion for the day. Now, this had the benefit of not having to fight the crowds for a space on the ferry. That would take me from the cruise dock to Mykonos town. The ferry was all of about a 3-minute walk from the cruise ship, and this double-decker ferry runs back and forth at regular intervals throughout the day. And in addition to serving cruise ship passengers, it also serves passengers who are disembarking from the inter-island ferries, which also use this dock. The ferry journey costs €2.50 each way, despite the fact that the sign actually says €2. Go figure. The ferry ride takes a little over 10 minutes. Now, if you are prone to motion sickness, you should be aware that part of this is actually across an open stretch of water, which because of the wind today was certainly pretty choppy. If you're looking for an alternative, as far as I know, there is also a shuttle bus service which goes back and forth as an alternative. But from my point of view, that's not nearly as much fun as getting on the ferry. Once I disembarked the ferry in Mykonos town, the first part of my plan of action for the day was to head towards the bus terminal so that I could go and visit one of the island's famous beaches. Now, as is the case with many Greek towns and villages, the main area of Mykonos town is not accessible by car, and it's a warren of beautiful whitewashed winding lanes full of shops and restaurants and tourist accommodation and Greek islanders' homes. It's a really great place to just wander at will without any particular plan on where you're actually going. But I would recommend, in order to save time if you're heading to a particular destination, it might be a good idea to use Google Maps for a little bit of navigation assistance. The bus terminal is located about a 10-minute walk from the dock. It's just outside the core pedestrianised area of Mykonos town, and on a map you will sometimes see this referred to as South Station, or it's also known as Fabrika. Bus tickets can be purchased from one of two kiosks at this area, and as well as the bus parking area, if you're looking for car rental or moped rental, there seem to be several out. There are also ATM machines, a post office, some restaurants and cafes, and there's also a supermarket which had a reasonably good selection of goods if you wanted to pick up something perhaps for a beach picnic later on. Having done a little bit of research on the beaches in Mykonos, I had chosen to go to Ornos Beach. That is in the south of the island, and it's actually only about a 10-minute bus journey. Now, a lot of the beaches in Mykonos have extensive and often very, very lively beach clubs, some of which seemed almost a little bit too lively for my liking when I just wanted a simple, relaxing beach day. So that's why I headed to Ornos Beach. It's a crescent-shaped stretch of sand. It's described in a lot of online content as being family-friendly as opposed to some of the party atmosphere beaches elsewhere on the island. Now, it is a public beach, but in reality, there seemed to be little or no space to stake a claim on the sand, and really your option seems to be that you do need to rent a sun lounger. Currently about 25 degrees, but it doesn't feel too hot because it's quite windy. So just a quick 10-minute journey on the bus from Mykonos town, from the bus station. €2 each way. There's about 4 stops in between. It's a public beach, but obviously all the sun loungers are paid facilities. After inquiring about pricing at a couple of concession stands, I eventually opted for a very comfortable sun lounger and umbrella shade, and that cost me €25. Now, solo travellers, you should be aware that a lot of the vendors attempt to rent 2 sun loungers as a pair. 2 sun loungers would have cost €40. Clearly, I only wanted one. So even on the beach, unfortunately, it seems that we solo cruisers still have to pay a supplement. Waiter service was available for bar and restaurant orders, and bathroom facilities were available in the restaurant across the road, which was actually serving this area of sun loungers. Now, although I only spent about 3 hours here, I still felt that my experience was reasonably good value, particularly when compared to a similar beach break shore excursion offered through the cruise line. Inevitably, for the return journey to Mykonos town, the bus was pretty crowded. Now, if you board at Ornos Beach, don't be alarmed if you think the bus is actually going in the wrong direction. It's not, it just takes a longer route to get back. And certainly, this provides a great chance to see more of the island at a very cost-effective rate. Once back in town, I had plenty of opportunity to wander at my leisure. Easy route from the bus station towards the windmills. It's only about a 4-minute walk, but it is one of the few locations which actually has traffic, vehicular traffic, so you need to sometimes hop in off the road. We have a particularly long day here in port, having docked just after 7 a.m. and sail away not being due until 10 p.m. tonight. So, of course, being in Mykonos, I had to visit those windmills, which are such an iconic symbol of the island. Now, spoiler alert here, from certain vantage points they look absolutely fantastic and they appear to be in a pretty isolated location. In reality, when viewed from another vantage point, their nearest neighbour is actually one of the main parking areas for the town, so not quite the pretty landscape that you might expect. From this elevation, you can definitely feel the wind, so another tip, forget about taking photos that you don't look windswept in. While it was a little bit more sheltered down on lower ground, you can still see from this footage that the sea was pretty rough, hitting right against the edge of the buildings in this area which is known as Little Venice. However, shielded from the wind in exploring the streets of Mykonos, it felt every bit of its lovely 32-degree sunshine. I called it a day on my exploration in the late afternoon, and I hopped on board the ferry for the trip back to the Majestic Princess. Back on board, time passed pretty quickly as I got ready for dinner, and I belatedly realised that I had missed a special folklore performance. That had actually been scheduled to take place in the main theatre, I think it was around 6 p.m, and a local Greek group were due to come on board to perform. So if you're visiting Mykonos on Princess Cruises, that might be something to keep an eye out for in the programme. For dinner this evening, I headed to the main dining room. This was my first time there on this particular cruise, and I have to say I was a bit disappointed at how slow the actual service was. For dinner, it took almost an hour and 45 minutes. That's 2 nights out of 2 now that dining has been exceptionally slow. Nevertheless, I was finished in time to make it to the late evening performance in the theatre, and that was a solo guest vocalist who performed Whitney Houston songs. Now, she did explain at the outset of the performance that while she specialised in Whitney Houston music, performance was not intended to be an impersonation. The show was really well attended and the performance seemed to go down very well with the audience. Certainly, I enjoyed it. It was definitely my vintage of music.
The
In heading to the pool deck later to check out the scheduled sail away party, I found that that too had become a casualty of the wind and had been cancelled, so it was time to call it a night. That's all for now. I hope that you join me in the next episode where I will be visiting Turkey for the very first time. As always, thank you so much for watching, and it would be really great if you would consider hitting that like button. It really does help the channel out such a lot. If you'd like to stay up to date on when more is coming out in this vlog series, please do consider subscribing. Hope you enjoyed this, and bye for now.